But I think it's definitely if somebody is starting a business with a partner but they've not been together that long and they don't know them as intimately, that is definitely something that has to be laid out at the beginning. You've got to have your lanes and stay in your lanes, because if there's too much crossing over, it's a recipe for some probably disaster.
Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the Something New show where we like to learn how to live a life worth celebrating. And today in the studio from Colorado, but not Colorado Springs, we have Brigette and Jay Modglin. Thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, our pleasure.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah. And driving, how far was the drive?
Hour and a half.
An hour and a half. Thank you for being here.
Actually went pretty quick today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Not a lot of traffic.
Really. Yeah, we text Liz and we're like,
you're here early. Okay. Well, can I ask to just start? What was the car conversation about today?
all kinds of stuff.
Was it a work conversation or were we getting things done? Like, what were we doing in the car?
A lot. Yeah, getting things done. It's Monday.
Is
Yes.
Yeah. So
Busy start of the week, so it was a lot of what do we need to do for this week. We have got new listings coming up, so starting to kind of plan out how that's going to get done in the next couple weeks, and we've got a busy season coming up.
I love that. Well, and that's exciting. And you kind of alluded to the fact that you're in real estate, but I like to hear that there's a busy season coming up for real estate because that usually indicates something's good happening in the economy. So that's encouraging. That's encouraging to know. Let me read a little bit about you guys before we get started. Bridget and Jay are passionate entrepreneurs. They have many businesses, community leaders, and advocates for blending faith, education, and excellence in various sectors. Together, they run multiple ventures, including the Modglin Collection, a Denver based real estate team known for its exceptional service in both residential and commercial transactions. And their expertise extends to business development, mentorship, and providing valuable guidance to clients and emerging professionals alike. But additionally, they co own Christian Souls Collection, a unique footwear brand that merges style with purpose, drawing inspiration from biblical principles. Their handcrafted shoes represent faith in motion, offering a fashion forward experience rooted in grace, which I'm so excited to hear about. And I want people to check out your website. And then they're also involved with education. They started a school called Summit Classical Academy, a private Christian school in the Denver area, right? And it blends classical education with a biblical worldview. So, through all their endeavors, they really value exceptional quality and meaningful connections with their community. So, I love that you've taken your business and said, okay, how do I branch out to my community and make the place I live a better environment for everyone? So, thank you for being purposeful entrepreneurs. I think that's awesome. So, when you think about like your journey, were you guys always entrepreneurs or like when you met, did you have different jobs? Like how did that evolve?
yes. So my dad was my dad was a entrepreneur. He real estate. So
Okay.
kind of I followed in his footsteps, and but he's always done something. He owned bowling alleys, all just different
Businesses. Yes.
Yeah, so that's what inspired me. So then we met, and I think our first one was a hot dog cart.
It was a hot dog cart, yeah. But
Hey.
your dad and I went into business with a hot dog cart. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, because he co-owned um a
Building in Denver.
building in Denver that's a storage facility, and so they put the hot dog cart right out front.
Okay.
But that was him and my dad at first, and then they just through the years, we always kinda done something with my dad.
Well, and I think it's good to have just a little bit of a highlight moment here on the hot dog cart because I think some people listening have jobs but want to become an entrepreneur and they're like, where do I start? Right? Because you have to start with something. You can't be all of a sudden one day multi-million dollar business. You have to start with an idea, a problem to solve, and customers needing something. So it sounds like you're like, people are walking out hungry.
Yeah.
And so we're going to put a hot dog cart, which how much did it cost you to have that cart to start?
I think it was $2,500 to buy the cart, and we had somebody that worked at the storage unit man it, and so we used the resources that we had to lower the operating cost of it.
Yep. And then was it pretty profitable actually?
We ran it for about a year, and it did okay. I think at some point we kind of looked at what other best uses could we have for the space, and there was a retail space that came next to the storage facility that we said that was like 500 or 600 square feet. We can make more money by getting rid of some of the storage units and making it a retail space. In downtown Denver right now, I mean, retail space is going from $35 to $55 a square foot.
Okay.
So having some 5x5 storage units or 10x10 storage units, there was a better profitability by switching it to retail. So we actually turned that into a retail store, and then just
Did you
started
find a
leasing it.
retail business to rent from you, or you became the retail business?
We found a retail business to rent from there, and I don't remember what the first one was, but we went in there, designed it, and then we actually years later went and put our real estate offices there. So
Okay. So it's evolved over time.
yeah, yeah.
But you're a broker, and then were you a broker when you guys met, or no?
Nope.
No,
No, we met at Nordstrom. Okay. So that was our story goes way back to when we were kids. But yeah. So in '05, I started in real estate when I was 19 and just worked my way up. I worked for a corporate REIT, real estate investment trust. And so I moved up in that world, and then I said I don't want to work for corporate anymore. I want to be my own, my own boss. And so in '05 I got my license.
Okay.
And then he
I got mine in '06. My professional career started in mortgages, and so it's what my dad did with growing up. So kind of followed in his footsteps. That's how we actually ended up in Colorado. My dad opened a branch out here for a subprime mortgage company, and then I think a year or two later I met Brigette.
Okay, and you guys were like, "Hey, we could do this real estate thing together."
Yeah, it was.
well, I moved we moved to Seattle together.
Okay.
And then and then he got transferred back here. And so when we got transferred back, I did not go with the group I was with. And I said, I'm getting my license. Well, to back up a little bit more, I don't know if you know We Buy Ugly Houses. That it was a company that they would buy at a very deep discount and then flip them. They were renting the space from that they had made into
A retail business.
Yeah.
retail. So she had a store in Seattle and then opened in Denver. And then my dad was like, oh, my daughter's moving back. So she hired me and paid for my license and then decided not to do Colorado and moved back to Seattle. So I was on my own. I had to
With We
figure it-
Buy Ugly Houses.
Yeah.
You were that
No,
company.
so she
Just took it.
dissolved it.
Okay.
And so I was
What a name for a business.
Yeah. still around.
So funny, the name, though.
Yeah, but I was like, well, I'm in it. I'm gonna do this, and just decided to start. But I hung my license under my dad,
Okay.
and just
So would you guys say that you really grew your initial, portfolio of just like gradually from like being, okay, we're starters, 19, 20, 21 years old, to being successful entrepreneurs? Would you say that really big chunk came from real estate
yes,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
selling houses, not necessarily being an investor and a flipper, but being the broker?
Yes, absolutely. We've done all aspects of real estate. We've done flips, we've done rental properties, we've done short-term rentals. The majority of our income right now will come from our residential commercial sales and leasing business that we do.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's good for people to realize, okay, like usually you hear this thing of, oh, you can tighten it right here if you want to. Usually what I love it. What we've seen is that most entrepreneurs do have one main stream of revenue, even though, you hear have multiple streams of revenue, have multiple streams. I'm like, yes, but maybe before you do that, be really good at one main lane, have that be set, systematized, SOPs in place, and a team is dialed in before you start to diversify into multiple streams of revenue. I think that's like almost like a shiny carrot, to get people distracted over here. It sounds really nice. Multiple streams, but I'm like, but honestly, if we're really talking truthfully to people that are looking to get into entrepreneurship, I'm like, no, you really need to have one main thing and that be your main thing.
Well, and I think the problem too with talked about the shiny new object. It's going and starting a business. It's not 6 months down the road, all of a sudden you're super profitable and it's replacing your income. You hear people that can do that. Majority of entrepreneurs, that's not the case. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of energy, a lot of years. So you've got to hone in and make that current business thrive. And once that is going, once it's producing, then you can start now looking at, okay, what's the next thing I can do, whether it's vertically integrating what you're doing and you're adding a piece onto that, or going off in a completely different direction, saying this is a passion, I don't care if it makes money, this is something fun. We started a longboard company after we sold one of our businesses. We're like, we just kind of want to do something that's kind of fun, so we ended up buying a longboard company. I actually bought two, and it was just it was a fun passion project for us. And
Was it profitable?
it was starting to become profitable, and then 2020 hit and supply chain issues. We were getting bamboo from China that all turned into a little bit of a headache, and so we kind of just
Let it sunset.
yeah, it was one of those things.
Amazon effect. Everybody
Right.
wanted something. They were custom, so they would take 2 to 3 weeks to make, and people want it today. So I kind of I think it was just really hard to sustain.
Well, for us, we had to take a look at our ROI. Where was our time investment worth more? And when we started looking at the headaches that we were starting to get from that, and then ultimately the delay and everything that was happening from China and all that, it was like, it's time to just let it sunset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it doesn't sound like that stopped you though,
Nope.
because then, what was next? The school or the shoe company?
School.
The school. Okay, let's talk about that. You decide all of a sudden, hey, we'll start a school. I'm assuming it's because you were looking for a better educational option for your daughter. Is that
Correct.
how that became the story, or was there more to it?
Because there's a long story, but so we were part of a school that was started by our church.
Okay.
And they after 2 years they decided to merge with another school, and they dropped the classical. Uh,
The classical part of it.
classical part of it. So we tried it out. We wanted to make to follow and see if we can make if it. Well, let's just see, because there was we're gonna make sure that we keep everything the same. That was what was intended, and then just notice that it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, the classical was going away, and so that was what our desire was for Reagan. And we said, well, let's look around. Let's see what else is out there. And so there's a classical school in Highlands Ranch, um, classical Christian Armaday. And so we drove out there, did a tour, and we were ready to sign up.
We're going to put the house on the market because we live in North Denver, and we're going to put the house on the market and move to Highlands
It
Ranch.
felt very much like what we had. But that night we actually had the dinner with our old head of school, and just sat down and really started to she kind of opened her eyes and said, just wait, don't make any decisions just yet. You really need to think about it, pray about it, and see if that's what you want to do. So then Jay decided, well, what would it take to start our own school and to just pick up where we left off? And then one conversation led to another, to another, to another. And then so the end of 19 is when we decided to open it was a co-op. And so we had 7 students.
Right before 2020. Why not?
Well, it was a perfect time, right?
Yeah. So we had 7 families that said, yeah, let's do it. And so we came together, and because it was really hard to start a full-time school that quickly. So we did the 7 students, and it was a co-op that was 2 days a week.
It was a university model.
Yeah, 2 days a week in person, and then online the other 3 days. And so we did that the first until August of 2020. But then 2020 marked, we had to go all online, but our kids were still in school because we would do 20-minute, their classes 20 minutes, they would take a break. So they were on from 8:30 to 3.
Wow.
But they were still learning everything as
Yeah.
it would in person.
And fast forward to today, what's the school like? Is it all in person? Is it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we're a full 5-day-a-week school. We started out, what would we have, second through fourth grade, and today we're K through 10. We will be adding 11th grade next year and then 12th grade the following year. And so we're about 113, 114 students now, anticipating next year
100 and what?
114 students. And next year we're projecting to be somewhere about 135, 140.
Wow.
Yeah.
In less than 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
That's incredible.
So going back to your entrepreneur, things to look for that, I think entrepreneurs need to be able to see a need for something and or a problem and to be able to address that. And for us, at the time, there weren't any other classical Christian schools in the North Denver area. And so for us, there was this, do we just leave and go to Highlands Ranch, or do we do something about it up north? And for us, like Bridget said, we prayed about it. We really looked at, what does this mean for our lives? What does it mean for other people's lives? And how, and we really wanted to do something within our community, and starting a classical Christian school, because we saw how much it benefited our daughter. And we thought, there's other people that could benefit from this too. And so that was kind of the catalyst for it.
Yeah, what a legacy project, because it's like going to live beyond you.
Yeah.
Which I always think about that. I'm always like, okay, what am I starting or doing that'll be after I'm gone is still something people can benefit from.
Absolutely.
Daughter might be, who knows? She could teach there. She could volunteer there, which she most likely will. I think she just has a love for people there.
What grade is she in now?
She's in 7th.
7th grade.
She turned 13.
Okay. That's awesome. Big age.
It is.
A big age to cross over that line. I love that. I love that. Okay, and then when did the shoe company evolve?
Well, it's 2020. This is when
Same year.
a long time coming, but in 2020 I said I really want to do something in fashion, and started with the name and thinking about what the name was going to be, and then last year I said, I finally am going to I got to do it. I just, because I actually wanted to be in fashion design. That was like where I wanted to be after high school. But my path led me a different direction. And
Yeah.
my dad being in real estate, it was like, kind of just.
It was the path of least resistance for you at that time.
Yes.
So, but then last year did a lot of research on who I could partner with, what company to make them, and that could help with our brand, and just all around do make them, market them, do everything. And so I found this company in Italy, Lamarche, Italy, I think. Yeah, I can never say the Italian names, but they do it all. It is so neat and they're in Shoe Valley in Italy, and they make them from handmade,
Wow.
just beautiful quality.
And do you design any of them now?
So they have styles that you can take and really all they customize different materials. So you can mix different materials. So I have a pair on that are python and suede, and so you can just mix materials, and then you add your logo, and you can
What's the website for people to go check out your brand?
it's christiansoulscollection.com.
I love that.
So it was when she was thinking about the company, it was very purposeful on, what do we want when we have our name on it or something like that? What is it? And for us, it was more being, let's get that luxury. Let's get that handcrafted Italian shoe, but at a price point that most people can afford. And
Yeah, what is the average price range?
I mean, the highest is a little over 300.
Okay. And then the lowest?
right about,
70.
yeah.
Yeah.
25.
But these shoes, what we wanted to do is design something that was very comparable to your ultra high end luxury now that are, 1,000 plus, and really wanted to kind of blend. We didn't want to be the Nike. We didn't want to be any of those. We wanted to be us, but at a quality with a value.
I like it. So you had said to me before we started that you really figured out that she's more marketing, you're more operation. So how did you guys decide, or did you have a process in which you discover this, or have you just like known all the time, like, oh, he's just good at this, I'm good at this. So, because as Jordan and I have had businesses, we've had to have good conversations and really say, okay, what's going to be your lane that you're going to babysit, oversee, make sure is excellent. And then this is going to be my lane. And then we're going to divide and conquer instead of me constantly looking over his shoulder and double checking what he does and him over mine. It's just like we have check-ins where we definitely go over everything for the businesses, but I would say that we really let each other operate in our giftings, and it's not always maybe assumed based on gender necessarily, like, oh, that the girl is always good at this and the guy's always good at that. It's not always that way. So I was just wondering how you guys discovered this is your lane, this is his lane, or do you just always know? Like you're better at marketing, he's better at business operation.
She just tells me what to do, and that's how I do it.
That's not true. No, those definitely. I'm the more creative side. Some marketing, all of our names that we have for the businesses is my is obviously a collaborative effort. But I'll be like, hey, what do you think about this? And then we talk about it, and then yeah. But
For us, it's been a little different. We've been together since we were 18. So we know each other's strengths, we know each other's weaknesses. And so when looking at a business in roles, it's almost doesn't need to be said on who takes over what, just because I I I've done some of the design on the shoes, but like for the most part, that's her. And in our real estate, when we have a listing coming up, and how do we market this? What is the vision for the video? What is the vision for the print? I'm just not good at that. And Bridget is. That is just something that comes easily to her. And so let's have her handle that, and then I take other parts of our business. And
definitely
yeah,
the financial side, and and making sure that yeah, that all those pieces and parts are well,
and
well.
I love to be out talking to people. And so when we talk about showings, or we talk about going out and talking with vendors and things like that, that's what I love to do. And so and not that Bridget doesn't, but if we need somebody in the office doing marketing and stuff, she can't do both. And so it's just we kind of slid into, okay, you handle this, you handle this. But I think it's definitely, if somebody is starting a business with a partner, but they've not been together that long, and they don't know them as intimately, that is definitely something that has to be laid out at the beginning. You've got to have your lanes and stay in your lanes, because if there's too much crossing over, it's a recipe for some probably disaster.
This episode is sponsored by Something Blue 30A. Looking for the perfect vacation spot to disconnect from everything, put your feet in the softest sand, and enjoy a fresh, renovated 2-bedroom, 2.5-bath townhouse right on the beach in my favorite place in the world? Well, 30A is situated in the panhandle of Florida, and I'd love for you to check out Something Blue 30A on Instagram and make it the perfect place for your next vacation. Yeah.
And we're learning that being on the board of a school, whose strengths, and we have new board members coming in. So who's really strong in this and that. And so we're working on that. Actually, we're reading a new book called Better Boards, Better Schools. We just got that last week. So that'd be a good read.
Yeah.
Because you're running a business.
It is a business.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I mean, really, no matter if you're in a for-profit or a nonprofit, I always tell people, I'm like, business is business. Like even a nonprofit has to manage their expenses, and you can call it fundraising, but it's sales.
It is.
And so I'm like, okay, it's the same thing. So you got to have sales, you got to meet a need, you have to be priced right.
Yeah.
And then you have to make sure expenses are moderated. Otherwise, you can go under very quickly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so it's making sure, all the pieces of the pie, everybody's watching those things dialed in. But I feel like it's a waste of resources to have both Jordan and I both looking at all the things, because I'm like, our time is very valuable. So if we're doubling up to do the same thing, it's like, wait, why are both of us doing this? Like just one of us needs to do this.
Yeah.
Let me go and do the other thing so that we can still stay on track to meet our deadline or whatever it might be.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And just delegation is something that's something we've had to learn in all aspects of our business. Bridge is much better at than I am. For me, I'm like, I can do this, I'll just do it. But when you start looking at your time value of
Mhm.
what this is how much I want to make this year, and to divide that out by the many hours in the year. And it's like, hey, I'm worth this. Does doing this one task that I could delegate to somebody else, does that make sense for me to do it? Or does it make sense for somebody else to do it because of my time value?
Yes, I don't know if you've read that book, but 2x versus 10x is kind of that concept of like,
Yeah.
okay, do I want to go 10 times faster or do I want to just take my time and do this? Like you said, it slows you down. These else.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are parents too. And I think that a lot of our listeners have dual income households where the mom and the dad work and they have kids. And that's always a challenging place to be because you're not just responsible for the things you're running to keep the finances afloat, but you're also caring about somebody's development as a human, that they turn out like a good person. So I think we talked before the show, but what kinds of things have you guys done let's just start with balance to start there. It's like to make sure that while you could work 24/7, 7 days a week, there's never not something to do.
Yeah.
How do you balance the work and family time?
Well, uh, strangely, our daughter is a competitive dancer, and we've been talking about how we thought while it's busy, it's actually a lot of time for all of us to really connect with each other and get organized as a team because competing is a whole different world. Costumes and makeup and being somewhere on time. That's really teaching Reagan how to get organized and you pack your dance bag. That's your job. You need to make sure you have your shoes, you have this, you have that. But in those times where we're waiting around, we get a lot of time to like talk about things or certain things we need, like our goals or whatever we need to do. It's amazing how much time, how much downtime there is in competitive dance while you're waiting around for to her to perform. Um, so I think that was one thing that while we didn't know it at the time, it actually has become really, really fun and valuable. And then just me getting her ready and helping and a lot of bonding time. So I think that's one thing.
I think a lot of that is supporting the child's passion, and making it not just the child's, but making it kind of all of ours, is a way that she can see that, yes, mom and dad are very busy at work, but they are focusing on this for me. And it's not this, I'm an afterthought, or they don't have time for me. It was interesting when Reagan was probably 3 or 4 years old, drawing a picture of us. I mean, it was mom and her computer, dad had a phone to his head, and you're like, oh, okay, that's what she sees our family as. So I think it's being intentional with, yes, work puts a roof over your head, it puts food, in your stomach, it pays for private school, does this, but we also have to look at and going, okay, how can we support her and get that family aspect to what is really important, and us going to church, and us showing family values to her and instilling those. And the great thing with our support group, whether it's church, it's school, or whatever, they reinforce that, and they reinforce the importance of family. And
So what we do at home, we know she's going to get at
correct.
school and vice versa. They know that, the way that we bring her up and she's a great example of us and just teaching her well, teaching her to just love, Jesus and be passionate about, certain things and yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I was going to say, it sounds like you guys do have a good support system, but have you, as you've kind of both working, both running businesses, kids busy, have you had to tap into other creative solutions for getting everything done? So, like when you think about your team, whether that's at work or even at home, what does the team look like to build out so that you do get everything done in a week?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that we did, she had her 6 years now. It's crazy to say that, but we have a house manager, and she is part of the family. She is one of us in our team.
Hmm.
Definitely a team. Part of our team does the laundry, makes the house sparkling clean. When we're gone on vacation, we come home, it's ready to go, and stuff isn't laying around. She'll help unpack suitcases. I mean, just everything, anything you need. Um, we actually just added the hearth to our home. I don't know if you know the hearth. It's called the Hearth Display, and that is something I'm really excited about. It's a digital calendar. It's all you can put in task lists, and same thing for Reagan. Practice your saxophone, practice dance. It's all in there. It's all digital, and so that's really something I'm excited about. I got that for Christmas.
I love it.
And then our business side, we have a lot of team marketing that helps us on that side. While I come up with the vision, they're the ones that implement and get everything ready for the listings. And
Well, and so when we got into real estate, we started our own company, and it was our own brokerage. We had agents. We did all of the accounting. We did all of the sales. We did everything.
we're all that.
And in 2016, I think, to have that balance and can we get everything done? Can we not? We ended up hanging our license. It's still our company, but hanging our license under Kentwood. And so Kentwood is a brokerage that offers the back end support. So that took that off of Brigette and I, and we did that in 2016. So that
It was like the best decision you ever made.
it was awesome. I mean, it's always hard to kind of say, okay, well, I can make all of the decisions because it's our brokerage. But then there's also a lot of responsibility that goes along with that. And especially there's a lot of stuff that's happened in the real estate industry in the last 2 years. And it's been great for us to have that support where if we were on our own, it's like, oh, this falls on us now. This legal issues fall on us, and there's not this big company to support us. And so that was something that it was a hard decision for us, but it worked out tremendously
Well,
well.
it's like a cost analysis, right? Is like people. I even think this about people that are maybe thinking about starting a business. I don't think everybody should.
Absolutely.
It's like a 1% of people that they say are wired to carry the stress of being the entrepreneur. I mean, it's literally a different kind of pressure. Not everybody should own their own business. And that's, to your point, is like saying, hey, like we want to be our own entrepreneur, create our own schedule and stuff like that. But in a way, you kind of linked up with the outsourcing agency that's going to take some of the back end pressure off, because that's what I'm saying. Some people maybe should link up with a really awesome company already doing it. Like instead of somebody going out and starting another school and they have the same vision, link up with your school and
Absolutely.
make part of that even better. Because I just think there's more framework pressure that people don't realize when they just want to start their own thing. And it's not a terrible thing to link up with somebody that's pre-existingly doing like what you love, and maybe they have a really great framework for it and you can run your vision under it.
Absolutely.
So it's just a good moment to pause, because I can think of so many conversations I've had recently where I'm like, hey, maybe it's just time for you to pause on your thing and just go under somebody else already doing it. Because otherwise you're just going to keep trying to win a competition here
Yeah.
with limited resources. And it sounds like the Kentwood brand has more resources.
Absolutely.
And then now you don't have to pay for the time.
Correct.
And so you might make less per transaction. I mean, I'm assuming, I don't know anything about real estate, but I'm assuming you make less per transaction, but it's like you got all that time back. Then you got all the stress-free moments back where you're like, I'll just do what I'm good at.
Yeah.
Like plug me into what, and even the people that work for me, I'm like, if you're amazing at helping people celebrate their life moment, you don't need to go start your own bridal shop. Just plug into mine.
Yeah.
So you get to do what you love every day. I'll do the stuff that you don't love.
Exactly.
And same for you. It's like now you're out there doing the things you love,
Yeah.
but you might make, I don't know, a little teeny bit less per transaction, but it's like, oh, that was worth it. It's almost as if you just hired someone.
Exactly right. Yeah.
That's exactly the way it looks at us.
It's like we just hire someone to take that off our plate.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would rather, and again, I'm a coach, so I believe in coaching. I would rather pay someone to go 10 times faster than to figure it out. Because I do believe everybody can figure it out. Like everybody can figure it out. Even if you didn't read that book about the board, in 10 years from now, you could learn everything that book probably tells you.
Yeah.
But instead of waiting 10 years, you bought a book.
Yeah.
And you're like, let me learn it today instead of 10 years of learning it through my own trial and error. It's like we're all smart enough to figure it out.
Yeah.
But why not speed the process up?
Yeah.
Buy a book about it, hire a coach about it, delegate through a firm. I just think it's a really big takeaway.
Well, and to your point about coaching, Bridget and I are huge proponents of that. So we've been in real estate for 18, almost 20 years now,
20 something.
and we hired a real estate coach. Um, I have a real estate, or not a real estate. I have a coach for a board coach, for a chairman of the board coach. It's not, and I think people think coaching is because you don't know how to do it. Coaching is to get you to the next level, or to get you to think outside of what your normal purview would be. How can I do this better? How can I expand? And if, for the last, 5 years, we've kind of hit a plateau making this. It's, you get a coach and get them to start helping you say, try this, try this. Um, Anybody out there that's kind of stuck at kind of, I feel like I'm not gaining traction, or I'm not getting where I want to be, get a coach. And in so many different industries, there are coaches for different industries.
Yeah, I love when people get specific, like practitioner coaches that were in the industry they want, not just like, I'm going to get a business coach. I feel like that's so broad.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to get a life coach. It's like, okay, those things do exist. And sometimes they have helped a lot. I mean, I know people have been blessed and benefited by those general coaches, but the more niche down you can get, I think the further you're going to go faster.
Yeah.
So board, I didn't even know there's a chairman of a board coach. Like, how cool is that?
Well, and in my aspect, I've been on boards. I've been presidents of boards for many different things. I've never been a board or a chairman of a board for a school. So as I know how to run businesses, I know how to be a chairman. There's just things that come up that you're like, I want to talk to somebody that's been through this before.
Yeah.
And is my thinking correct? And I think a lot of time it is, but also I think there's a lot of times that I'm like, I didn't think about that. That's a really good way to look at this. And so that just, it helps form or help the right direction that you want to take your business, your school, whatever it is. You have somebody that's seen some of the pitfalls before.
Right.
And to your point, it's like, instead of going out and starting your own thing, maybe joining with somebody that's already done it, it's they've gone through those down cycles, or they've gone through the challenges that
You've already,
owning a brick and mortar, or
yeah,
things
like
like that. Okay, what
they're way down the road.
exactly? And you can accelerate your success by teaming up with somebody that has already hit those obstacles and figured out ways to get around them.
Yep. I love it. Okay, now let's talk about parenting. So, what are some things that you really hope as you raise your daughter that you're like, hey, I hope as an entrepreneur that I can teach her maybe how she views money, how she views opportunity, or just the job market in general as she's growing up? Like, what are some things that you talk about at home?
Oh, I have a lot of conversations, a lot of time in the car
Yeah.
with her. So this has come up a lot recently, and she has talked about, oh, I want to work at Starbucks, or I want to work at Target, or, as my first job. And I think I tell her, Reagan, why don't you think about all you're learning in dance right now, and that you can use all those skills, because she's actually professionally trained by professionals. We pay for a really great studio. You can take those skills and teach little kids. And why not think about that for your first job? So that's, the entrepreneur brain that I have.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I didn't think about that. That's, yeah, you're right. So starting to get those wheels turning, definitely, about, all that you're learning in school, even like you can be, you can start teaching, and just doing different things. So those are definitely conversations we're starting to have, to, just don't think about working for somebody. It's fine. And maybe it's like you said, it's a good start. And maybe,
And maybe it is their bent because, again, not everybody can deal with the pressure of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are some conversations. But we're starting to talk about getting her on our payroll, and I want her to start helping with social media, and certain things with our business, just to start helping us, and see if it's something she'd want to
we're
get into and she's
we
interested in.
we're introducing her to all different aspects of our businesses, and so, you know, from the time she was in a car seat, she was going showings with us, and that's, I think probably that's not what she likes to do, is go show houses. She likes to entertain, and so we've shot marketing videos that she's been a part of, and she loves that. Um, the she's got that kind of Bridget's marketing brain, and so it's, hey, here's a social post that we're gonna do. What do you think we can do different? And these kids today, it's absolutely amazing what they know, and how they can create some little post that goes on social media. And so we're getting her to see the different aspects of owning your own business. And we actually encouraged her a few years ago. She loves slime, and she goes, "I want to make slime." So Bridget showed her how to start a slime business.
Put on Etsy.
But yeah,
It started.
and
She just made some sales and
it was, here's your cost. What do you sell it for? And here's margins, and here's how you all the items that go into making it. So now you got to take your time, you got to take your material costs, you got to take shipping when somebody buys it, and then credit card fees. So we're trying to really open her eyes to, there's a lot that goes into just walking into a Target and buying something.
Mm-hmm.
What did it take to get that? And so we're really trying to instill that side of the entrepreneur education to her.
Yeah, I love it. I just think it's so good to talk to your kids about how is money made, and that money isn't just a service, it's also products. And so, if you can multiply the product sales across your time, you can increase your revenue stream instead of just your time being the service.
Yeah.
So I definitely I tell my kids, any way you can think of earning money, I want you to like put yourself out there. So, anytime there's a snow day, instead of my kids sleeping in, they get woken up at 5 a.m. and I'm like, all right, it's a snow day. Get the shovels, go knock on doors. Like they're out there trying to do anything. In the summer, any day that there isn't football or something going on, I say, go offer your skills to the neighbors. See what you can get paid for. I mean, it's a constant generation of money. So I want them to think that if you ever need money, the statement is not, I don't have enough to have what I want. It's how can I get
Yeah.
enough to have what I want?
Yeah.
How can I get it? So it's an obstacle of just creating value for someone, and whether that's a service or a product, to generate an income. So it's
Yeah.
not waiting for the magical age of 16 when you can drive and go get a job.
Yeah.
It's literally as young as you want to be, because you can pull weeds. I mean, we even had our 8-year-old pulling weeds for an elderly neighbor, getting paid $5 for the weeds. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so it's just however they can go out there, and to think of it like, I'll never be poor if I think of money that way.
Correct.
I'll always think of it as, if I can go add value to someone's life and create a job in a way for myself,
Yeah.
that's an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
But when you have all the overheads and all those things, as life does expand and expenses increase, and you add family members and babies and everything else to your life, you start to realize, okay, what can I handle?
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important thing for our kids to hear too. Is like, yes, we obviously sitting at this table all value entrepreneurship, but I also don't think that the chances are all my kids are going to want to be entrepreneurs. I mean, if they might,
Absolutely.
but if somebody doesn't want that pressure, I also think you have to weigh out what is the emotional tax that you're going to pay, and your price that your family's going to pay to hold the phone and the laptop all the time.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, where's my line that I want to draw in the sand as a kid? And so I think it's just being, you guys are so aware. I love that you're so aware. That's like, oh, we got to value family time and put our kids around other people that value family time too. That's important, because it's easy to get lost in the rat race of business and growth and goals and all the things, and then be like, oh yeah, wait, quality time. Like, we need to pause and just make sure we're making that our calendar matches our values.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that's important. Well, I don't know if you guys anything else to add to the parenting thing, but I think that's pretty cool that you're already there talking about it with her.
yeah, I mean, yeah, just like you said though, she's always like, I want this, I want this. And so we actually created a Poshmark store, her own. So I'm like, anything you can sell. If you want to buy something, you sell something. So we're always like,
That's a great idea.
always like, there's always something in your closet that you can sell. And so she has her own Poshmark store. And yeah, so always trying to like make her think of that, like, yeah, never, you won't go without. if you make the effort, to always try to make money and yeah. So
It's a grind. It doesn't come easy,
No.
but they hopefully see how hard we work and that they're going to have to, work hard too. Right.
And I don't know if Mark Cuban said it or Grant Cardone, but it's if you're looking at your expenses and you're like, I have too many expenses, you don't have too many expenses. You don't have enough income. So to your point, if your kids are sitting around on a snow day, they could go out and make money really easily. And I think adults need to think that same thing too. If you've got these expenses and you want, oh, I got to go out and make more money. And there's a lot of ways to do it. Even if you're a full-time employee, there's side hustles you can do to just generate a little bit of extra income to kind of get you to that next level. And again, going back to starting a business, I think a lot of people think you have to just stop what you're doing full time and to start a business. It's like, wait, don't lose that main source of money. Start it slowly, get it built up, and then hopefully down the road you're able to get out of that full time to make your passion or your new business work for you.
Right. Because our passions aren't always income generating.
Correct. That's why you gave us the time.
You have to give it a little bit of time because, like the main thing is the main thing. And then the passions, it's like, oh, I'd love to dedicate more time to it, but
Yeah.
it's not going to always pay the bills.
It's interesting. In commercial real estate, we'll be listing a property, or we'll get a client that comes to us, say, all right, I need this much space. This is my idea. And you're going, there's no need for that. It's like your idea is so far out there that you're like, it's just, you gotta, yes, I understand it's a passion, but you also have to look as an entrepreneur. Is there a need? Are you taking care of a problem, or are you putting something in place that people are dying to have? And I think people try to take their passion and say, I'm just going to put this in play. And it's like, it doesn't always
It's
work.
always got to meet a need. That's why the snow day is such a good analogy, because it's like supply and demand, right? It's like, okay, there's demand today because there's a ton of snow on everybody's driveways, and supply would be how many guys are out there knocking on doors? Not that many.
That's exactly right.
And so it's like, is there a need? Is there a demand for it? And then how many supply chains are there in the industry, right?
Absolutely.
And if it's not oversaturated, you got an idea.
That's great. Yep.
So I loved it. Well, this is fun conversation. Great to talk about parenting and business and kind of the balancing act of it all. And we're in the thick of it, but it's pretty invigorating. Everything we're doing is purposeful, raising humans and raising businesses that make differences. I love it. I love hearing you guys'
Cool.
story. Thank you for being on the show today. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, definitely leave us some comments below and look them up. I think, what's the name of your school that you guys started?
Summit Classical Academy.
Summit Classical Academy, and your shoe company is called Christian Souls Collection. And then, like I said, Brigette and Jay Modglin are in Denver. If you need real estate help, I'm sure they'd be glad to help you with that too.
Absolutely.
So we'll see you guys next time on the Something New Show. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the show, rate, review, and share with a friend. Also, follow the Something New Show on Instagram and Facebook. If you want a fuller experience, watch the show on YouTube to help you create a life worth celebrating.